You know that moment in a long road trip when you've been driving for hours. The scenery's blurred into sameness, and suddenly, without warning, your GPS announces you have arrived at your destination. No fanfare, no fireworks, just an abrupt, almost anticlimactic realization that the journey you thought would never end has. That's what reaching the finish line of a twin flame journey feels like, except instead of a GPS, it's your soul whispering, "Oh, we're here." The destination isn't some picture-perfect reunion where you ride off into the sunset on a tandem bicycle. Sometimes, arrival looks like sitting alone in your apartment, eating cold pizza at 2 a.m., and realizing you haven't checked their social media in 6 months. It's not dramatic, it's not cinematic, but it's real, and that's how you know it's over. After years of cosmic breadcrumbs, sleepless nights, decoding signs, and enough emotional whiplash to qualify as an amusement park ride, you'd think completion would feel like victory. But often, it feels like waking up from a fever dream. Did that really happen? Was any of it real? The answer is yes, and also no. Twin flames aren't about the other person. They're about the parts of you that needed to be cracked open, exposed to the light, and stitched back together with stronger thread. And now here you are, stitched. Not healed in some Instagram affirmation way, but quietly, irrevocably different. You don't need tarot cards or angel numbers to confirm it. You just know the way you know your own reflection, even when you've changed your hair. When you wonder, am I done? Logically, what you're really asking is, can I stop hurting now? The answer is simpler than you think. If you're no longer addicted to the ache, if their absence feels like space instead of a wound, if you can imagine a future where their name is just a footnote in your story rather than the title, congratulations, you've made it. This isn't an ending, it's a homecoming to yourself. Now, let's talk about how you'll know. You know that feeling when a song that used to wreck you suddenly plays in a coffee shop, and instead of your chest tightening, you just hum along. No lump in your throat, no frantic mental replay of memories, just the melody floating by like a leaf on a river. That's emotional neutrality. And if you've reached this point in your twin flame journey, congratulations. You've basically become the Zen master of detachment, even if you still occasionally side-eye the universe and mutter, "Really? That was the lesson." Let's get real. The twin flame chase isn't just a spiritual boot camp. It's an emotional obstacle course designed by some cosmic jokester who clearly has a flair for drama. In the beginning, every text notification felt like a potential apocalypse. Their name popping up on your screen, heart rate spiking like you'd chugged 3 espressos. But now, you could run into them at the grocery store while holding a carton of expired almond milk. Because let's face it, adulting is hard, and your pulse wouldn't even flicker. That's not indifference, it's freedom. Neutrality isn't about forcing yourself to stop caring. It's the quiet aftermath of having cared too much and lived to tell the tale. Think of it like a breakup with caffeine. At first, withdrawal is brutal. Headaches, existential dread, the works. But one day, you realize you can walk past a Starbucks without your soul screaming for a caramel macchiato. Same energy. The twin flame obsession wasn't just about them. It was about the parts of you that needed healing. And now, those wounds have scarred over into wisdom. Ever watch a toddler lose their mind over a dropped ice cream cone? 5 minutes later, they're giggling at a butterfly, trauma forgotten. As adults, we're not so different, except we cling to our ice cream tragedies for years, turning them into identity badges. I am someone who was devastated by love. But true neutrality means you've stopped wearing the story like a weighted blanket. You can talk about your twin flame without summoning the emotional equivalent of a storm cloud. Hell, you might even crack a joke about it. Progress. Here's the weird part. Neutrality sneaks up on you. You don't decide to stop aching for them. One day, you just don't. It's like when you finally clean out your closet and realize you've been holding onto clothes that haven't fit in years. Why was I so attached to this? The twin flame dynamic thrives on push-pull, but completion feels like unclenching a fist you didn't know you were holding. And don't mistake this for spiritual bypassing. I'm so enlightened, I feel nothing. Nah. Neutrality isn't numbness, it's clarity. It's the difference between staring at a bonfire, mesmerized, terrified, burning, and sitting by its embers, warm but unharmed. You're not avoiding the past, you've just stopped setting up camp there. Let's play a quick mental game. Imagine your twin flame gets engaged to someone ridiculously attractive and kind. They buy a house, adopt a golden retriever, and achieve personal bliss. Does your stomach drop? Or do you think, good for them, and go back to your coffee? If it's the latter, my friend, you've graduated. This isn't about being over it in some detached, superior way. It's about realizing their journey no longer dictates yours. You're not bitter, not waiting, not keeping score. You're just you. And maybe, for the first time, that's more than enough. So here's your permission slip. If you've reached this quiet, unshakable place, stop second-guessing. The drama is over. The lesson is learned. And the love, oh, it's still there, just softer now, like sunlight through old glass. Not every great love story ends in reunion. Some end in release. And that's its own kind of magic. Remember those Russian nesting dolls? The ones where you keep opening them up, expecting to find something grand at the center, only to discover the tiniest, most unimpressive doll at the core. Yeah, that's kind of how the twin flame journey starts. You cracking yourself open layer after layer, convinced your real self is hidden somewhere inside, waiting to be found. But here's the plot twist. You were never incomplete to begin with. The real magic happens when you stop searching for wholeness in another soul and realize you've been the entire matryoshka all along. Let's get one thing straight. Soulmates aren't scavenger hunts. You don't wander the earth like some lovesick pirate, digging for buried treasure in another person's chest. The ancient Greeks, bless their dramatic hearts, started this whole split-apart souls myth, but even Plato admitted it was more poetic metaphor than cosmic fact. Yet here we are, centuries later, still whispering, "You complete me," like we're characters in a rom-com written by a sleep-deprived philosopher. But here's the thing. If you've reached the end of your twin flame journey, that desperate that clawing need for completion has evaporated. You don't just say you're whole. You feel it in your bones, in the way you can sit alone in a quiet room and not feel like you're waiting for someone to knock on the door. It's not enlightenment, it's relief, like finally taking off a backpack full of bricks you didn't realize you were carrying. Let's play a game. Imagine your twin flame vanished tomorrow. Poof, gone. No forwarding address. Not out of malice, just life. Would you crumble? Or would you sigh, pour yourself a cup of tea, and keep breathing? If it's the latter, congratulations. You've graduated from the school of I need you to the university of I choose me. This isn't about becoming some solitary monk on a mountain, unless that's your thing, no judgment. It's about realizing that your joy isn't contingent on another person's presence. You can love deeply, wildly, recklessly, but from overflow, not emptiness. And that, my friend, is the secret sauce. Here's the hilarious part. The twin flame journey tricks you into thinking it's about them, when really it's about you all along. It's the universe's way of shaking you awake, whispering, "Hey, genius, you were never broken, you just forgot how to be whole." And when you finally remember, oh, that's when the real adventure begins. So if you're sitting there, reading this, realizing you don't need your twin flame to feel like a complete person anymore, don't second guess it. That's not abandonment, that's ascension. You're not losing a soulmate, you're gaining yourself. And honestly, that's the best love story of all. Remember when you used to see 1111 everywhere, on clocks, receipts, license plates, like the cosmos was playing a never-ending game of peekaboo, or when their name would pop up in random conversations, songs, street signs, as if the universe had a sick sense of humor and a flair for dramatic irony. Yeah, twin flame synchronicities can feel like divine breadcrumbs at first, until they start feeling like spam from a particularly persistent universe. But here's the kicker. When you're truly at the end of this journey, those signs don't just fade, they transform. It's not that the universe has ghosted you. It's just stopped sending the same old memos because, frankly, you've graduated. Think of synchronicities like a radio tuned to the twin flame drama FM station, static, emotional weather reports, and the same damn love song on repeat. For months, or let's be real, years, you're glued to the broadcast, analyzing every lyric for hidden messages. But one day, without fanfare, the station starts playing something else. Maybe you keep catching phrases about new beginnings instead of soul unions. Maybe you stumble upon a book about solo travel instead of twin flame reunion. The universe isn't ignoring you. It's just finally talking about you instead of them. And here's the weird part. You don't even miss the old signals. It's like when your Spotify algorithm finally stops recommending breakup songs and starts suggesting punk rock or jazz. You didn't realize how tired you were of the old playlist until it was gone. This is where people panic. What if the synchronicities stopping means I'm off track? Relax. The universe doesn't just go mute when a lesson's learned. It upgrades its communication style. Instead of seeing their birthday everywhere, you start noticing numbers tied to your life path. Instead of dreaming about them, you dream about flying, or forests, or some bizarre scenario involving a talking cat. Look, the subconscious has a sense of humor. The focus isn't on the past anymore. It's on you, your growth, your next chapter. It's like when you're binge watching a show and suddenly the storyline shifts from the will they won't they couple to the protagonist's solo adventures. At first, you're annoyed. Where's my emotional payoff? But then you realize you're invested in the new plot. That's spiritual growth, baby. Let's get honest. When you were deep in the twin flame trenches, you probably had a borderline FBI investigation board tracking every coincidence. Don't worry, we've all been there. But now, if you see 111 or hear their song, it's more like a nostalgic postcard than a burning bush moment. You might smile, shrug, and keep walking. That's how you know you've leveled up. The real magic happens when you stop needing signs to validate your path. You're no longer waiting for permission from the cosmos to move on. You're just moving. And ironically, that's when the universe starts sending the really interesting stuff. Here's the cosmic joke. The whole point of twin flame synchronicities was to wake you up, not to keep you stuck in a loop. Once you're awake, the alarms stop blaring. You don't need flashing neon signs when you've learned to trust your own inner GPS. So if the universe seems quieter these days, don't panic. It's not a breakup. It's a promotion. You're not being abandoned. You're being trusted to drive your own damn life. And honestly, that's the most powerful sign of all. You know that moment in a movie when the hero finally stops chasing the villain, lowers their weapon, and just walks away? Not out of defeat, but because they've realized the fight was never really about the other person to begin with. That's what unconditional love without attachment feels like at the end of a twin flame journey. It's the ultimate mic drop. You're not leaving because you're bitter. You're leaving because you finally understand that love doesn't have to come with strings, conditions, or a dramatic third act reunion to be real. Most of us were raised on a diet of rom-coms and fairy tales that taught us love is supposed to hurt, to ache, to leave us breathless and desperate. And sure, twin flames deliver on that front, like a spiritual boot camp where the obstacle course is your own damn heart. But here's the thing, no one tells you. Real love doesn't require suffering to be valid. You don't have to bleed to prove you cared. Think of it like this. When you were a kid, did you ever press your hand into fresh cement just to prove you were there? That's what conditional love is. It's leaving marks, demanding proof, needing the other person to acknowledge your love for it to count. But unconditional love, that's like drawing in the sand at low tide. You love fiercely, completely, and then you let the ocean take it. No evidence required. Let's get uncomfortably honest for a second. If your twin flame called you right now and said, "I've met someone else and I'm happy," would your stomach drop? Or would you feel a quiet warmth, like hearing an old friend got their dream job? If it's the latter, congratulations. You've unlocked the secret level of love, the one where your happiness isn't tied to theirs, where their joy doesn't diminish yours, where you can genuinely say, I want what's best for you, even if that's not me. And before you argue that this sounds like some kind of sainthood, nah, it's not about being a doormat or pretending you don't have preferences. It's about recognizing that love isn't ownership. You can adore someone and release them, like watching a bird you nursed back to health finally take flight. You don't clip its wings just because you'll miss it. Here's the twist that'll make you laugh or cry. The whole twin flame journey was just a ridiculously elaborate way to teach you how to love yourself without conditions. All that agony, the sleepless nights, the why can't we make this work? It was never about convincing them to stay. It was about convincing you that you were worth staying for, whether they did or not. So if you've reached this point where you can love them freely without needing them to love you back in a certain way, that's not the end. That's the beginning. Because now you know the secret. Real love doesn't bind, it liberates. And the person it's liberating most, you. You'll know you're done when you no longer need to ask, is this over? You won't need a cosmic billboard or a tarot reading to confirm it. You'll just know. Like how you know summer's ended, not because the calendar says so, but because the air smells different. So here's your permission slip. If you love them but don't need them, if you wish them well without aching for them, if their name doesn't set your soul on fire anymore, but still feels like home, then let that be enough. You've loved, you've grown, you've won. And now, the rest of your life is waiting. So here you are. You've survived the spiritual roller coaster, the dizzying highs, the nauseating drops, the moments you swore the safety bar was broken. And now, the ride has slowed to a stop. The lights have come up, and instead of the dramatic finale you expected, there's just stillness. No fireworks, no choir of angels singing your twin flame's name. Just you, standing there with your metaphorical cotton candy melting in your hand, thinking, wait, that's it? Here's the secret they don't tell you about completion. It doesn't announce itself with a bang. It arrives like dawn, so gradually you don't even notice the dark has lifted until you're already bathed in light. One morning, you'll wake up and realize the thought of them doesn't slice through you like broken glass. It just floats by, harmless as a cloud. That's not indifference, it's evolution. You haven't lost the love, you've outgrown the need for it to hurt. People talk about moving on like it's some grand act of erasure, as if love only counts if it ends in amnesia. But real completion isn't about forgetting. It's about integrating. Your twin flame wasn't a detour. They were the forge that reshaped you. And now, you're the sword that's been tempered, the metal that's been strengthened. You don't resent the fire. You don't mourn the hammer. You just recognize their role in what you've become. This is the paradox of true closure. The love doesn't disappear, it transforms. What once was a wildfire, contained to a single forest, becomes sunlight, able to touch everything without burning anything down. Here's the exhilarating part nobody prepares you for. When the twin flame chapter ends, the rest of your story isn't just waiting, it's wide awake. For years, this connection may have been the compass you checked obsessively, the lens through which you viewed every choice. But now, the map is blank, the horizon is clear, and for the first time in who knows how long, you get to ask the most dangerous question of all. What do I want now? Not what the universe wants, not what they wanted, not even what your past self thought you deserved. Just you, here, now, unshackled. You'll know you're free when their happiness no longer feels like a threat to yours. When you can hear they've moved on, new love, new city, new life, and your first thought isn't, why not me, but good. Not the bitter, clipped good of someone pretending, but the expansive, generous kind that comes from truly understanding. Love was never a finite resource. Their joy doesn't diminish yours. The universe isn't playing favorites. It's just finally treating you both like adults. All those miles traveled, all those tears shed, all those nights spent begging the stars for answers. Turns out, you weren't walking a path toward them. You were walking a path back to yourself. The love wasn't the lesson, it was the mirror. The chaos wasn't the enemy, it was the chisel. And now, you're not broken, you're not half of anything. You're the kind of whole that can only come from having been shattered and choosing piece by piece to put yourself back together differently. So take a breath, look around. This isn't an ending. It's the first day of the rest of your life. And the best part, this time you get to write the story.